So Stevie is just a young lad putting out songs.
Yeah, and writing a hit song for the Miracles too, for Smokey Robinson.
Yes.
And can you believe that? I thought that was your song, Smokey.
Tears of a Clown.
I thought you were a songwriter, Smokey.
Whoa.
He dropped the ball and Stevie picked it up.
Whoa.
So yeah, this is the story behind that. One day Smokey was feeling really lazy and he was like, I'm tired of writing songs. I'm tired of being perfect and writing hits.
And Stevie's like, say what?
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Smokey wasn't feeling well one day. He called out and they had Stevie come in and cover his shift and he wrote a hit.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That's definitely what happened, according to the official records. So little Stevie Wonder, first of all, I want to say he was just murdering the harmonica at this point.
Oh my God.
Like you listen to the early harmonica solos, it's like I've never heard anyone play harmonica this good. First of all, I just want to say that. But time goes on. He just keeps putting things out. He gets bigger and bigger, and he's still like not even really an adult yet.
No, he's finally starting to grow up, and his contract's about to run out.
Yes.
He's about to turn 21, and he's almost going to become a free agent.
Yes.
If people don't get with the program.
Well, what I heard is that he had a opt-out clause once he turned 21.
Yes.
Because, they signed him at so young. It's like
Yeah.
he didn't even really have any authority over his own decisions at that
Right.
time.
It's only fair unless you would, want to violate child labor laws.
We're talking about Detroit, okay?
In the 50s and 60s.
He's working in a factory. It's just a music factory. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, so Stevie knows that he has that opt-out clause, and
Yes.
he has a lot of leverage at this point.
Yes, because he is amazing as an artist. Not only is he amazing as an artist, but he's easy to work with.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. So that's going to make everybody at another record label want you badly.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I love so much about Stevie. It's like there's a lot of extremely talented, musicians that have existed, but I feel like nobody has anything bad to say about Stevie.
This man, when he talks about, I'm telling you, he's probably my favorite artist of all time. Just learning his personality and what he thinks and what he wants to put out into the world and stuff, and that he hopes that he's done enough good in this world. Like he's actually said those things, and I'm just like, do I need to cry right now, Stevie? Like, I mean, my God. And then you're going to sing well.
Yeah. And it's like, nobody's perfect or anything, but him, like, listening to his music, it's just like he feels like such a pure soul.
Yes.
That's
the amazing part of it. So he's cranking out hits. He's writing songs. He's playing instruments. He's telling you to do this. He's telling the engineer that there's a little fuzz on that. He's telling Barry Gordy, you got a little stain on your shirt.
Right.
Stevie's hitting on all cylinders, okay?
So he's about to get to the point where he can opt out of his contract, right?
Yes.
So Barry comes up, how he does, just like, hey, Stevie, I got another song for you. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Get on your hands and knees, Steve, and write me that song. No, I'm just kidding.
And Stevie's like, hold on. I'm not just going to do all this shit that you want me to do anymore. Because now I'm an adult. I'm not just some kid.
That's right.
And I clearly have my own artistic vision.
That's what the big deal was.
Yes.
Right? Because Marvin had already put out What's Going On.
Right.
Which we also reviewed. Check us out on Side After Dark.
Oh, that was one of the first ones.
Yeah, that was like one of our first
we
ones.
didn't even have headphones.
We didn't have headphones or lighting or anything like that. We
yeah.
were children. But yeah.
We were children 2 years ago.
So yeah, Marvin's come out with What's Going On, and that already he was butting heads with Barry over that because Barry wants to crank out the pop hits. He doesn't want you to get too political. He doesn't want too much backlash coming on, and that's understandable. You're talking about a black label in the middle of Detroit, pre-segregation. You never know kind of what I'm feeling like Barry's kind of thinking on those levels as well as money-making levels. Like, I don't want too much static, so.
Right.
But Stevie wants to put out this album.
Barry still wants to sell records to white people.
Yeah. Hot on the charts, pop, stuff like that the kids
yeah.
are going to twist at the soda shops too and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that the grandparents too, like even like on the black level, like the grandparents are not going to call the devil's music. It's not going to be too,
right.
I don't want to grind on
Like,
you.
whoa, what is this?
Exactly. I'm
not trying to hear any devil music.
Exactly.
Don't play that backwards. I'm
Right.
going to get, there's going to be a trance or something. You know what I mean? Like, Did you hear what they're saying when you play the records backwards? That's like
Kill your mother.
quick side note. That's just one of my favorite like myths of like the music industry. That shit is so funny to me.
It is.
It's like if you play anything backwards, your brain could fill in whatever the hell you want.
Whatever.
Like you can literally write a whole poem of like a backwards. But anyway,
We're coming out with a backwards album this December.
yeah, don't play it forwards. It'll just sound like shit.
All right.
So Stevie.
Yes, he wants his own creative freedom. That's his issue with Barry. And Barry's like, okay, well, your contract's almost up. And, oh, man, I'm going to have another thought-provoking album where people open up and get really vulnerable and care about each other.
Right. But also remember, Stevie has leverage not only because he's amazing, but also because he's writing hits for other people on his label.
Yes, he is.
So not only does he want to keep him as an artist, he wants to keep him as a songwriter as well.
He's not going to lose Stevie, and that's a quote.
You're not going to lose Stevie. I mean, if you know anything, if you got Stevie on your label, you're going to do whatever you can to keep Stevie around.
Whatever you can. So Stevie says that he and Berry Gordy from the beginning were very straight up. And I know that Berry Gordy is like that. He's very straight up with you. If he doesn't like it. And if you don't like it, you can actually come to him and talk to him head to head and straight up. So I'm imagining there was a lot of back and forth. Are you fucking crazy? How much millions of dollars you want? I'm assuming all of that went on.
Yeah.
And then Barry had to kiss the ring. He had to shell out $13 million to keep Stevie Wonder. And that was a lot of money back in those days. A whole heap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So now, not only does Stevie have money, but he's got a lot more creative freedom.
Yes.
And this is when he starts to go into what some call the classic period.
His classic period.
Which is honestly probably the most incredible run of albums and music that's ever happened. It's insane.
He's a lot of firsts. Even the $13 million contract, I believe, was the highest for an artist of all time at that point that you would pay to get an artist like Stevie. He's just breaking records all over the place.
Right.
All right. So, yeah. So he's in his classical period where every year he puts out an album.
And every year, what happens with the album?
It goes to #1 and he wins a Grammy.
Right. And, okay, so another thing about this time is not only is he writing all this stuff, but he's also, like, really on, like, the cutting edge.
Yes. On top of that.
Yeah, of, like, what music is and, like, music production. He links up with these two guys that have been building this ridiculous synthesizer.
Yes, one of the last names is Cecil, and I believe it's Margalef.
Yeah.
I believe that's the last name.
Yeah. They basically, so little side note on them. So they were working on this before they met Stevie.
Yes.
And then it came together in such a great way.
Yeah.
But they were working on this thing, they called it the Tonto synthesizer.
Right, it was huge. They had a whole album with these sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, the way that it first happened is one of the guys he worked with Moog synthesizers. So he was like a synth genius.
Yeah.
And he got one synthesizer, and like we've talked about this before. So a few years ago, the Met Museum in New York, they had like a exhibit of famous rock instruments and like rock things, and we went there and we were looking at these synths and we were like, geez, this synth is like a whole wall.
Yeah.
Like this thing is crazy.
Yeah.
So what they did is they took those synths that were whole walls and they combined them.
Yes, they did.
So not only did you have one synth that was a whole wall, you had one synth that was a whole room. Mm-hmm. And it could create basically so many sounds and tones that nobody really was able to reproduce before.
Right.
At least by a synthesizer.
Yes, and I just want to say that these guys set up their studio in New York, and that makes me just think that they also built Batman's computer. But anyway,
Probably.
Let's get back to it.
So they built this synthesizer. So they put out an album of music with that synthesizer before they met Stevie. Mm-hmm. And then Stevie heard it and was like,
album.
"Oh my god, like this is what I need to make my visions come to life." And another quick little thing, one of my favorite quotes from Stevie, I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but I'm pretty sure what he said was like, just because somebody doesn't have sight doesn't mean they don't have vision.
Yeah, that was a great one.
And he really, he wasn't just saying that.
He had total visions. He had, when that album went to #1, Berry Gordy patted himself on the back and said, "What a brilliant negotiator you are." That's a quote. But Stevie, Reading about this and researching this, I can't believe he was at the forefront for all these synthesizers in R&B music, because that's all I grew up with was synthesizers and R&B music, and that's insane. And it was Stevie Wonder, because I mean, I honestly felt he did have a classic period, because I felt like I was always listening to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
like every song was always coming on. So he's in his classical phase. He's starting out with this Tonto, and what they did was to make the song Superstition, they plugged 2 pedals into a clavinet, which is like a little keyboard, and then also used a distortion pedal, and then produced it through Tonto.
Right.
Which is absolutely insane.
Yeah, they were just doing all kinds of crazy, like, studio trickery.
Yeah.
And something else to mention. So not only is Stevie writing all the songs, he's playing basically every instrument.
Yeah.
He's playing the drums.
Yeah. Well,
which...
on Superstition. No, he is playing the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that song started out because it belonged to Jeff Beck. It was supposed to be for Jeff Beck.
Right. So Stevie wrote Superstition for Jeff Beck. And when I heard that, I'm just like, how would that even have worked?
They played it. Jeff is actually playing the drums. Jeff came up with the drum beat for
Really?
that. Yes.
Oh, I
and
didn't
they
know that.
say that Jeff is actually playing the drums on Superstition.
Oh.
The one that's recorded. And you can go and listen to a Jeff Beck album where Superstition was for him, where they actually played his version.
Yeah.
It's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
It's still dope.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just
Right.
got the same kind of like drum thing going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, because I always thought it was Stevie playing the drums on that.
No, they say it's Jeff Beck playing the drums on Superstition, and then the song just ended up going to Stevie because he kept it. I don't know. But now Stevie's got everybody playing the drums on that. He's got his own kid playing the drums on it. He interviewed with some British host, and the host was playing the drums on it. And you just switch people out on the drums.
It's just a beat that all the kids can get behind, you know what I mean? It's just a good time, and people love to play it.
I guess so. And then I've actually seen footage of Jeff and Stevie playing it recently, within the past 10 years, I'm saying. But Jeff was playing guitar, and Stevie was playing the clavinet.
Right. So the first album in this classical period with the Tonto was Music of My Mind.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's, again, at this point, like, this is really the first that people were hearing Stevie's actual visions.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, the Motown visions or what Barry wants it to kind of be like.
Right.
It's really like, this is Stevie. Mm-hmm. And, Music of My Mind, it really is the music of his mind. Because he's writing it, he's producing it, he's playing all of it. Like, this is what his brain sounds like. Then that's the thing that's so crazy to me when I listen to it. It's like, there's really no outside influence in a way. Like, obviously he's working with people, but like the final, like, he has complete control over what the final sound is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's so amazing. I mean, he's such a great artist, and he can just bring himself to the forefront like that and be so vulnerable. It's just really amazing. So he's making these albums, and every year he's rocketing to the top. And like, I think he takes a couple years off to get married. Right, to introduce himself to Sarita, who is a Motown secretary. And they get married, and then he takes some time off, gets introduced into transcendental meditation, becomes a vegetarian and then a vegan, and then comes out with The Secret Life of Plants.
Well, he also, we skipped over the car accident.
Oh yeah.
So Music of My Mind. Then what was? There's so many albums within this 4 period. I kind of forget which one came out in what order.
There are 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Music of My Mind, and then Inner Visions, I think.
Yes, and then there's Songs in the Key comes after.
That was the last of the classic period.
Yeah.
But I know that he got in a car accident like literally like 3-4 days after Inner Visions comes out. Mm-hmm. And that really affected him. Yeah. I mean, it was like a bad car accident. Like
he was in a coma for 2 days.
Yeah, he was in a coma. He was basically recovering for like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So that really kind of affects, just his outlook on life and things like that. And I'm sure it made him even more like thankful to be, alive and to be doing what he was doing.
Right.
And then, so his next album, he has so many ideas coming around that it takes like 2 years to make this album. Yeah. And it ends up being Songs in the Key of Life. Yeah. Which is a double album. Yeah. And apparently he was like, I got like 100 songs I could put on this album. I got to figure out which ones to actually make the cut.
They weren't sure if they wanted to make that a double album, but he was like, adamant about it, and he puts out Songs in the Key of Life, which is crazy.
And okay, so that I want to say this because this is funny. We keep alluding to this. So before Songs in the Key of Life, he put out at least one album every year. That one album of the year.
Yes.
3 years in a row, he wins album of the year.
Yes, he does.
And the 1 year off in between, I think Fulfilling This is first finale, and then Break, and then Songs in the Key of Life, but I'm not totally sure. But in that 1 year off, Paul Simon wins the award.
76.
And what does he say?
He's like, he just wanted to thank Stevie for not putting out an album this year.
Which is so funny to me. Because, like, you know, a lot of musicians have a lot of ego. So just the fact that Paul would just, like, acknowledge, he's like, I'm only getting this because Stevie didn't put out an album. Not only does that show, like, a cool side of Paul Simon, but it also just speaks to how fucking amazing Stevie was and how everybody knew how great he was.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, we don't even have a shot if he puts an album out. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane.